Jhin. The candied pork glistened on top the five-flavor broth. The aroma entranced Jhin, but he set aside his spoon. As the waitress left, she smiled and nodded in approval. The fat had yet to melt into the broth. Doubtless the soup was already excellent, but in a moment the flavor would be at its peak. Patience. Shen considered the interior of the White Cliffs Inn. It was deceptively simple and rough. The wood weavers had been masters, removing the tree bark and leaving leaves only where necessary. The candle on Shen's table flickered wrongly. He slid away from the table, retrieving his blades from under his cloak. "Your students are as quiet as pregnant dvorax," Shen said. Alone, and dressed as a merchant, Zed entered the inn. Brushing past the waitress, he sat down 3 tables from Shen. Every part of him wanted to dash at his foe, to avenge his father. But such was not the way of Twilight. He calmed himself and then realized the distance was too far, but only by the length of Shen's index finger. Shen looked over at Zed, expecting to see him grin. Instead, his rival sighed. His skin was sallow, and dark folds hung beneath his eyes. 5 years I waited, Shen said. Have I misjudged the distance? Zed asked wearily. Even if my head is cut off, I will still close and strike, Shen said, sliding his foot backward and cocking it against the floor. Zed was 10 paces and 1/2 of a finger's length away. Your path's closer to mine. Your father's ideals were a weakness. Ionia could no longer afford them, Zed said. He leaned back in his chair, keeping himself just outside of the range Shen would need to strike a killing blow. I know that's not something I can make you understand, but I will offer you a chance for vengeance. I do not act because of vengeance. You defy the balance. For that, you are damned, Shen said, as he inched forward to the edge of his chair. The golden demon escaped, Zed replied. Impossible. But Shen felt a hollowness that caught in his chest. Your father's greatest victory, and now, again, his foolish mercy has tarnished his legacy. Zed shook his head. You know what that thing is capable of. Then Zed leaned over the table, well within Shen's range, his neck intentionally exposed. And you know that we are the only 2 people who can get close enough to stop him. Shen remembered the first time he'd seen the body of somebody killed by the infamous Kada Jhin. His skin prickled from the memory, his teeth clenched. Only his father had been strong enough to still believe a merciful justice could be served. Something in Shen had changed that day. Something in Zed had broken. Now that monster had returned. Shen put his swords on the table. He looked down at the perfect bowl of soup in front of him. Little droplets of the pork's fat's oil shimmered on the surface. But he wasn't hungry anymore.